So this could all be bullshit. Right, so here we are again. Some more complaints to do with the woke mob. Former Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order developer claims black and female protagonist pictures were rejected. So more woke ideology and complaints coming from the left wing, rainbow flag, that basically are unsatisfied with the portrayal of characters in video games and in films and other forms of pop culture because they can't identify with them, because they can't just relate to a good character because it's a good character that's well written. So, shout out to Bounding Into Comics once again. They're doing a fantastic job at keeping up with this stuff. So, a former developer of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has claimed that pictures for a black or female protagonist were rejected. The claim comes via Nora Schrammick, a former lighting artist for Respawn Entertainment who would go on to Riot Games, Unity Technologies, and lighting lead. She was also a lighting artist for Forza Motorsport 6. Schrammick revealed some of her alleged experiences developing 2019's Fallen Order on Twitter. When I worked on Fallen Order, developers wanted and advocated for the main character to be black and or a woman. So we obviously already know which side of the spectrum she's laying on. Reasons for no. Schrammick claimed, we already had 2 black people in the game, which is true. One of them being the basically Obi-Wan character and the Wise character in it, which should be considered an honourable thing. Reasons for no. Schrammick claimed, we already have 2 black people in the game. Rey is a woman and we can't do that. Guess what the demographic of the people making those decisions look like. So projecting already. Or have a guess at the people who rejected the idea of having a black female lead character. Like she's obviously referring to white men. So this is going to be a rant about how evil the white man is because these people allegedly, and this is all alleged, she has no proof of this is all her experience. So she's making claims against a certain group of people without any proof, which to me just screams she's just trying to win brownie points amongst the people who are a part of this woke mob. It's all just attention seeking, really. The worst thing I heard was when someone, not going to give any info here, so you're not providing any proof of who it is, said, I think all the black people need to have more glossy skin because black people have more oily skin than other people. Dead shock on everyone's face. She alleges. So she's making these, what she's asserting are white men as being uber racist because black people are harder to generate in games or develop in games than what white people are apparently because they have glossy skin. Seems like a bullshit scenario, but anyway. Looks at me, right, Nora, to which she claims she replied, me, what the F is wrong with you? The aftermath of that meeting and alleged interaction was not revealed, however. So it's probably bullshit. Schrammick would respond to a user claiming that the interaction was innocent, tweeting, not that specific event was straight up racist for sure. That person and I did not get along at all. But no, the greatest industry isn't systematic. Greatest, you mean gaming, right? Isn't systematically racist, misogynist, or homophobic. Sarcasm. She lamented. This is more of the Gamergate shit, right? Because whether people like it or not, the vast majority of people that play games, me being one of them, but the vast majority are young men. That's just a fact. Men are more likely to play these games than what women are. Shock horror. So this is just dragging up the whole Gamergate scenario again because games just can't be fun anymore. They have to lecture you and the gamer about how you should be thinking about society and the way you should be thinking about how you treat other people. You're not allowed to suspend your own reality anymore and escape reality when you're playing a game. No, you have to be firmly in the here and now so that we can lecture you about your behavior. And then they bitched that the customer gets upset with them and stops paying them the money. Later, Schrammick revealed she was prompted to discuss her experiences after viewing Captain Astronaut's Why No Black People in Video Games YouTube video. I'm not blaming EA, Disney, etc. I'm saying that individuals have power in the process. So this is going to be white men in power make bad decisions on the behalf of diversity. And I'm going to defend them like a white knight. A white knight in shining armor to defend black people against the power-hungry white man. That's what this sounds like to me. If those individuals have massive privilege and by the nature of their life experience shelter them from a full view, that means they need to be extra intentional about their choices, she professes. Okay, so now she's going into how her tweets have obviously gotten more attention than what she had originally believed. So she's going to have to continue to ramble on to try and justify what she has said and give further narrative to what went on, that she alleges went on, with no proof. So apparently my tweet about my experience on Jedi sort of blew up. Schrammick tweeted. The next day, likely referencing the reports and discussions her tweet generated, which was probably precisely the point. It was all attention-seeking. These are my personal experiences, and I hold them to be true. I no longer work at Respawn, and from my understanding of people who do, there have been changes since my departure. But noted, can't personally verify. And she can't personally verify that this has happened, but she also isn't verifying what she alleges. Vast majority of that team were awesome, amazing people who cared about representation, I bet. Buzzword. One of the biggest buzzwords out there, along with woke and diversity. That said, I'm tired of excuses and want us to do better, so I will speak up about my personal experiences with a few people. People who had that opportunity to push change. So you're going to push up against the man because people you can't identify with aren't being portrayed as main characters. Schrammick continued to assert that the incident was not due to evil EA or overly controlling Lucasfilm Disney, even though we already know that Disney has its own agenda when it comes to representation and diversity and telling people how they should be thinking about gender ideology, and that plenty of developers voice concern or desire for someone other than a white guy for their lead. So this is what it's all about. This is not about diversity and other stuff. This is about taking white men who they hate out of leading roles and replacing them because people like her are better able to identify with them because they can't relate to actual characters that are well written. She's the one with the problem. No one else would have a problem with it if it had originally been a black woman. No one would have given a shit. It's the fact that they make it an issue by saying shit like this on Twitter that annoys everybody because you're making it about politics and woke ideology. 15 years ago, this wasn't an issue. No one would have given a shit. Back in the 90s, no one gave a shit. Everyone just got along. And now it's becoming an issue, dragging up old history. I don't know, maybe because these people are bored. I'm a huge Star Wars fangirl. It has massively influenced my life, and this was my dream project when I was contacted to work on it. My reason for talking about this is we need visibility on this topic. I promise the guy who said those things didn't think he was being racist. So this is where critical race theory comes into it. You don't think you're racist and you're not really behaving like a racist, but you are racist because you made a character decision that I don't agree with and that the woke don't agree with. And because you didn't initially have the main character of this game a black woman or someone who's more diverse, you are inherently racist. So this is what would make me curious. What if the developer, because she's obviously inferring that these individuals that made this choice were white men, what if they were black and they still chose to make the main character out of Fallen Order white? What then? Would she have an argument then? No, she wouldn't, because the people that created the character would have been black and there would be no argument there. But because these guys are obviously allegedly white, she can call them inadvertently racist or have internalized racism because of that fact. Because skin color, allegedly, according to this woman, infers your racial ideology and your racial preference, which is racist. I know above, Schrammick did say that the comment in question was racist and admitted to not getting along with the offending developer. So this could just be a vengeful woman who's pissed off with an individual or a boss for making a decision she doesn't agree with and her feeling inferior to this individual. So this is a clap back at him as a way of venting her frustration with having to work with this individual. For all we know, she's manufactured this whole thing in order to win brownie points, to feel better about herself and to hang shit on someone else who's clearly in a superior position than what she is. So this could all be bullshit, but it is still a problem that people in leadership don't get that or are afraid there isn't a market for it. I'm an intersection minority, both from within the industry and without. Schrammick possibly referring to her homosexuality and neurodivergence. Guess what? There are so many people that fit that in some way that we are becoming a majority. Now, I mean, with the whole gender ideology that's making its way into schools, like I find it unrealistic that this is something that is becoming a majority. I think this is something that children are being conditioned into becoming a part of. I don't think this is organic increase in people. And my thing is that if they were becoming the majority, then companies could move in this woke direction and not lose money for it, but they are. So clearly they are not the majority, because if they were, they'd make more money, and they're not. And the fact that she's using her homosexuality, which no one really gives a shit about, and her neurodivergence, which my sister's neurodivergent, I have my own health issues, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stand here and elevate myself to the status of victim to try and win brownie points with a certain sector of community because I think that's interesting about me. No. You get on with it, you take your medication, you change your diet and you move on. Or you fall in love with whoever it is you fall in love with, you live your life, you get married, you have your kids, and you live your life the way you choose to. Or if you have a neurodivergent issue, you adapt and learn a different way. That's what my sister did. You put up with it. That's a market. That means we want to see ourselves as the lead. Exactly. She wants to see herself as the lead. So she needs others to change to make herself feel better and to validate who she is. That doesn't mean everybody else needs validation for who they are. That's something that you give to yourself because it's your problem. If you're not happy with the way you are, then it's up to you to fix it. It's not up to everybody else. She sees ourselves as the lead. Schrammick continues or promotes before claiming that the market will be growing one way or another. Yes, so the market will grow because it's being conditioned that way, because these businesses and these corporations are pushing this agenda for whatever stupid reason to erode away pop culture. Why? Because pop culture influences society and it's a reflection of who we are as a people. And if you can change the way we think of ourselves, you change the way we think and the way we spend our money and the way we vote. That's the whole point of this. So it's not happening organically. We know this. It's not organic because if it was, these businesses would already be rolling in it. They're not. So it's being forced on the community. Also, despite the very loud or disgruntled minority who decries the loss of their status as the default, the protagonist, the norm, most white guys, that's what this is about. It's about white men in power and her not being happy about it. Most white guys I know are cool, chill dudes and allies are fine playing someone who doesn't look like them. Hell, they even advocate for it as they know it's good for everyone. So so in other words, you're saying that these guys are cool with playing characters that don't look like them because they're capable of identifying and relating to characters that aren't like them. It's scary to publicly say anything about experiences with anything negative in game dev, especially if you're a woman, a person of color, or a queer person. So please understand what it takes to speak about hot button issues when the system doesn't root for you in any way. But you just admitted that this thing is being pushed by force, more or less. So that means that this isn't difficult for you. You're attention seeking. This isn't difficult at all. It's difficult for people to speak out against this ideology because we know that corporations are pushing for this. We know that system like platforms like Twitter and that silence people who are against this sort of woke ideology. It's not hard for you at all. This is attention seeking. You're making this shit up. You've got no proof that this is actually happening, and yet you're going out there and trying to justify what you're saying that has no proof. Virtue signaling to a crowd and then claiming that it's really hard to do this. No, it's not. While Schrammick stated she wouldn't be speaking to the media to prevent her claims being misrepresented or twisted, they nonetheless grew beyond her control by her own admission. So she'll blast it all over Twitter where people can't prove her wrong, but she can't prove herself right either. Okay, the conversation has outscoped my participation as expected. I've locked the threads. I felt it necessary to point out systematic issues and gave my personal experience of an event. I hold to my experience. I know there are and will continue to be takes on what I said. Yeah, so in other words, you've locked down the thread so people can't continue to call you out on the bullshit. Because if what you're saying was true, you wouldn't feel the need to lock people out of the conversation. You would keep at it until you proved yourself right. That's good. I know it doesn't matter because Twitter, but try to be civil with each other, she begged. This is everywhere to lesser and greater degrees. My experience is that most people actually get it, but if a few people are not and have power, they need to be personally responsible to that. She later concluded she was done with the topic and hoped it would ultimately lead to some good. Back in July 2019, Jedi Fallen Order game director Sig Asmussen made it clear that they went with a male protagonist due to Rey's prominence in the film trilogy, which is, personally, that's a fair enough excuse. And the thing is that it's becoming a trend now because technically you could say that Cal Kestis is a minority. Why? Because he's a redhead. There's less redheads in the world than there are black people. And yet it seems to be a trend that redheads are being erased from pop culture too. I mean, the new chick that's playing Ariel, Disney's The Little Mermaid, has been gone from an iconic redheaded character to a black woman. Like it seems to be the redheads that are becoming the victims of race swapping and that at the moment. Ironic, isn't it? Because it doesn't count though because redheads are also white. So it doesn't count. Even though there's less of them, hair color doesn't count because people can dye their hair color. Even though Cal is the only character in the game that is a white male, everybody else is a woman or an alien. So like the Fallen Order cast is already incredibly diverse. Like the Obi-Wan character, as I said, is a black woman. The villain is a black woman. All of them did fantastic jobs, and every other character, like even his new mate that he gets, the Night Sister, like she's a woman as well. Like he's the only real male lead, and the other male lead is a pilot who's an alien, And his Jedi master that dies is an alien too. But no, because he's the lead, it's not allowed. It should have been even more diverse. Although, grant you, people probably wouldn't have cared. Not back then. Not when this stuff started to get out of hand like it is now. At the time, no one would have given a shit because it's a good game. He told Game Informer, yes, we talked about doing an alien creature. We talked about different genders. We arrived at where we were because at the time, Rey was kind of the thing for Star Wars. And so it made a lot more sense for us to have a male protagonist, which is fair enough. Ultimately, we didn't go with the alien race because we felt like, no pun intended, that would alienate a lot of people. We wanted to make sure that there was a real human connection to the character we have in the game, which I was able to connect with this character anyway. Although, to be fair, a lot of people do identify as aliens now. So you've just isolated, it's a double-edged sword. Double-edged sword. A lot of people out there apparently, allegedly, who are becoming a majority can identify as aliens now. So you've probably just upset them too. That'll be the next article. But see, that a real human connection, well, clearly, according to this Twitter, Nora Neva Boyar, clearly she is incapable of having a real human connection with a character that is white and male. But as far as I'm concerned, that's her problem. Let me know what you all think. Do you agree with me? Do you think this whole woke racist ideology that's seeping into every aspect of our lives needs to F right off, as I do? Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below. It really helps me out with the algorithm. And hit the notification bell so that it lets you know when all my new videos are coming out. Take care, everyone, and don't fall for the woke mob.